The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Marcus Aurelius. They walked away like you never mattered, like you were just a chapter they could close without a second thought. But now they're back, knocking, reaching out, acting like they suddenly realized what they lost. But here's the real question, my friends. Do they miss you, or do they just miss the control they once had? Before we dive deep into this, take a second, hit that like button and subscribe. This conversation might just change the way you see everything. Stay with me. Hey folks, imagine this. You're a lighthouse, steady, strong, guiding ships in the dark. But one ship, the one you thought was yours, sails away. No hesitation, no looking back. Off it goes, chasing what it thinks is a brighter horizon, a better shore, a new adventure. And you? You stand there, unshaken, shining anyway. And then one day, when the storms hit and the sea turns rough, guess who's trying to find their way back? Not because they suddenly appreciate the lighthouse, but because they need it. That's what's happening here. When they left, they didn't think twice. Maybe they thought they were upgrading. Maybe they believed you'd always be an option, waiting in the background, like a paused song they could press play on whenever they wanted. But now, reality hit them like a cold wave. The world isn't as kind as they expected. Their new life, not as perfect as they imagined. The people they thought would replace you couldn't match the depth, the patience, the love you gave effortlessly. And now, the void they created is swallowing them whole. But let me tell you something important. Regret is not love. Missing you is not the same as valuing you. Anyone can feel lonely. Anyone can crave comfort. But love doesn't walk away like you were nothing. Love doesn't gamble with your heart and expect to win you back when it feels like it. Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." Don't waste another second waiting for someone who didn't recognize your worth when they had you. And here's what's really happening, my friends. They're not just coming back because they miss you. No. They're coming back because they've lost control over you. They expected you to fall apart, to sit there broken, waiting for them to return. But instead, you healed, you glowed up, you started living, smiling, moving forward. And that shakes them to their core. People want to believe they're irreplaceable. They love the idea that their absence will leave a permanent hole in your life. But when they see you thriving, when they see you laughing, growing, evolving, they panic. Not because they love you, but because they hate the idea of someone else appreciating what they took for granted. So now, they're back. But ask yourself, are they coming back because they truly see your worth? Or are they just afraid of losing their grip on you? Are they here to give or just to take again? Because, my friends, love that leaves you in pain should never return in comfort. If they walked away thinking you were replaceable, let them spend a lifetime realizing they were wrong. Now, before we dive into the deep stuff, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I choose my peace. Say it. Own it. And if this is already hitting deep, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. We're just getting started. Stay with me. 1. They see you thriving without them. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor. Seneca. They thought leaving you would make them happier, that walking away would free them, that life without you would be better, easier, more exciting. But now they're watching you glow, watching you rise from the ashes they left behind, watching you laugh, live, move forward, not as the broken version of yourself they expected, but as someone stronger, someone they no longer recognize, someone they can no longer control. And that, my friends, that shakes them to their core. Imagine this. You're a garden, full of life, full of color, full of growth. And they were the storm. They thought by leaving, they'd wash away your beauty, that without them you'd wither, shrink, collapse into dust. But instead, the rain only made you grow taller, bloom brighter, root yourself deeper. And now, they stand at a distance, looking at the masterpiece they once took for granted. But this time, they're not the gardener. They're just an outsider looking in. Because here's the thing, people don't expect you to move on without them. They like to believe that their absence will cripple you, that you'll sit in sadness, questioning your worth, waiting for them to return. But when you prove them wrong, when you take that pain and turn it into power, they panic, because now they have to face a truth they never considered. You didn't need them to thrive. And that burns their ego like fire. They scroll through your social media, looking for cracks, searching for signs that maybe, just maybe, you're still hurting. But instead, they see strength. They hear from mutual friends that you're doing better, that you've found new hobbies, new confidence, maybe even new love. And suddenly, the person they left behind no longer exists. Psychologists call this loss aversion, the idea that people fear losing something more than they enjoy gaining something new. They left thinking they were gaining freedom, but now they fear that they lost something irreplaceable. And this is where the questions start creeping into their mind. What if I made a mistake? What if I misjudged their worth? What if someone else gets to experience the best version of them? But let me ask you this, my friends. Should it take your success for them to see your worth? Because if they only want you now that you've grown, that you've flourished, that you've become better, then what does that say about them? If they only miss you because they see someone else appreciating you, is that love, or is that just possession? Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." And this is where many people fall into the trap. Because when an ex comes back, some people think, maybe now they truly see my value. But no, my friend. If they didn't see your value when you were struggling, when you were giving them your best, when you were there for them, why should they deserve you now? People who only want you when you're thriving don't love you. They love the idea of you. They love the status, the power, the ego boost that comes with being part of your life again. But they don't love you for you. See, true love stands beside you when you're at your lowest, not just when you're glowing. Real love doesn't need proof, doesn't need competition, doesn't need to lose you to realize what you're worth. So before you even think about letting them back in, ask yourself, are they coming back because they love me or because they fear someone else will? Do they miss me, or do they just hate the idea of me thriving without them? Because a person who truly values you will cherish you even in your darkest moments. But a person who only realizes your worth after they see you moving on, that's not love, that's insecurity. And you, my friend, you deserve better. So drop this affirmation in the comments. I am thriving for me, not for them. Say it, own it, show yourself, show them, show the world. Because the biggest revenge, not needing them anymore. And we're not done yet. Because next, we're exposing the real reason they regret leaving. Stay with me. 2. Their rebound or fantasy didn't work out. Foolish men seek happiness in the distance. Wise men grow it under their feet. James Oppenheim. They walked away convinced there was something better out there. Maybe it was a new person who caught their attention. Maybe it was the idea of freedom. Maybe it was just the thrill of something different. Whatever it was, they believed it was an upgrade, something that would make them happier, more alive, more fulfilled. They thought they were walking toward greener pastures, leaving you behind like a chapter they had outgrown. And for a while, it probably felt like they made the right choice. New connections, new distractions, new highs. The rush of novelty gave them an illusion of excitement, a false sense that they were moving forward. But what they didn't realize was that they weren't stepping into something better. They were just stepping into something temporary. The problem with chasing newness is that it fades. The thrill wears off, the mystery disappears, and suddenly, the reality they tried to escape comes creeping back. That new person. They don't understand them the way you did. The deep conversations, the emotional connection, the way you could see through their silence, gone. That freedom they craved. It's not as fulfilling as they imagined. They start to realize that being alone isn't as exciting when there's no one left to care. And that fantasy they built in their mind, it crumbles under the weight of reality. Because here's the truth, my friends. People who run from what's real always end up running in circles. They convince themselves there's something better, only to discover that what they left behind was rare, genuine, and irreplaceable. And now they're sitting in regret, watching you from a distance, wondering if they made the biggest mistake of their life. But don't be fooled. This regret isn't about love. It's about consequences. It's about realizing they miscalculated. See, when they walked away, they expected you to wait. They assumed you'd stay stuck, frozen in time, longing for their return. But now, they see something they never considered. You're not waiting for them. You've moved on. You've healed, grown, transformed into someone even stronger, even wiser. And the worst part? Someone else might be appreciating what they threw away. That's what truly haunts them. The idea that they weren't just wrong, but that someone else gets to enjoy what they took for granted. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. This is where many people fall into the trap, thinking their ex's return is proof of love. But let me tell you something, my friends. If they truly loved you, they wouldn't have gambled with you. If they truly saw your worth, they wouldn't have walked away searching for something else. Love doesn't need to test the waters. Love doesn't walk out the door expecting to find better, only to come running back when reality disappoints them. So ask yourself, do you really want to be someone's backup plan? Do you want to be the safe choice now that they've realized the grass wasn't greener? Because let's be honest, if their so-called upgrade had worked out, they wouldn't be here. They wouldn't be reminiscing about you, replaying old memories, lurking on your social media, trying to find a way back in. They'd be happy, but they're not. And that, my friends, tells you everything you need to know. The hardest truth to accept is that some people don't come back because they love you. They come back because their other option failed. They return, not because they've changed, not because they've grown, but because they don't like the emptiness they now feel. But that emptiness, that's their lesson to learn, not yours to fix. They made a choice, and choices come with consequences. You are not a convenience. You are not a fallback. You are not someone they can leave behind, only to return when things don't go their way. So before you even think about letting them back in, ask yourself, are they coming back because they truly value you? Or are they just trying to escape the consequences of their own mistakes? Because love isn't about regret. It's about respect. And if they couldn't see your worth when you were giving them your best, then they don't deserve to experience you at your strongest. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I refuse to be anyone's second choice. Say it. Own it. Show yourself. Show them. Show the world. Because the moment you start choosing yourself over their regret is the moment you take back your power. And trust me, my friends, we're only getting started. Because next, we're exposing the guilt that's eating them alive. Stay with me. 3. Guilt and regret are haunting them. A wrongdoer is often a man who has left something undone, not always one who has done something. Marcus Aurelius. At first, they felt justified in leaving. They convinced themselves that walking away was the right decision, that they had their reasons, that they were doing what was best for them. They distracted themselves, filled their time with new experiences, with new people, with anything that kept their mind from drifting back to you. And for a while, it worked. They enjoyed their so-called freedom. They basked in the illusion of a fresh start. They believed they had moved on. But here's the thing about unfinished business. It never truly disappears. It lingers. It waits. And eventually, when the distractions fade and the noise dies down, the silence starts speaking. Late at night, when their phone isn't lighting up like it used to, when their thoughts finally catch up with them, that's when the weight of regret starts creeping in. At first, it's just a whisper. Did I make a mistake? But then it grows louder. The memories start replaying, the good times come flooding back. The moments they once took for granted now feel like lost treasures. And suddenly, the person they once walked away from is the person they miss the most. But this isn't love, my friends. This is consequence. This is what happens when people think they can walk away without repercussions. When they think your heart is a revolving door, they can step through whenever they please. But life has a way of teaching lessons to those who refuse to learn them the first time. Regret is a shadow that follows those who act carelessly. It doesn't hit them when they're out celebrating, when they're caught up in the thrill of something new. No, regret comes after the damage is done, when they realize they can't undo what's been broken. And now they don't just miss you. They miss the version of you who loved them, forgave them, believed in them. The version of you who would have answered their late-night calls, who would have listened to their excuses, who would have given them another chance. But that version of you no longer exists. And that, my friends, is what haunts them the most. Not just the regret of losing you, but the realization that they can't get you back. They could reach out, they could apologize, they could say all the right things. But deep down, they know that the damage has been done, that you've seen their true colors, that you've lived through the pain they caused, that you're no longer the same person who once put them first. And this time, they are the ones left feeling powerless. Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." And that's exactly what they're experiencing now. The imagination of what could have been, the alternate reality where they didn't mess things up, the painful awareness that someone else might now be giving you what they took for granted. They tell themselves that maybe, just maybe, if they come back with the right words, if they play the part of someone changed, if they say they finally realize your worth, you might let them back in. But you and I both know the truth. Regret is not love. Because if they truly cared, they wouldn't have left in the first place. If they truly valued you, they wouldn't have needed distance to see your worth. Guilt is a heavy thing to carry, but that is their burden to bear, not yours to fix. Some people don't want to do better, they just want to feel better. They don't want to change. They just want the relief of knowing that you forgive them, that you still care, that their actions didn't have real consequences. But let me tell you something, my friends. Your peace is more important than their guilt. So before you even think about letting them back in, ask yourself, are they coming back because they truly regret hurting you? Or are they just looking for a way to escape the regret they now feel? Because someone can feel bad about what they did without ever actually changing. They can miss you, they can wish they had done things differently, but that doesn't mean they deserve another chance. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." And that applies here, my friends. If they were truly capable of change, they wouldn't just say they regret what they did. They would show it through action, through effort, through consistency. But most of the time, the ones who return are simply haunted by their own guilt, hoping that you will be the one to free them from it. But that's not your job. You are not their redemption arc. You are not the person who should make their mistakes feel okay. If they lost you because of their own choices, then let them sit with that loss. Because the moment you let them back in without seeing true growth, you are teaching them that your boundaries, your heart, your self-respect don't matter. Drop this affirmation in the comments. Regret is not love. Say it. Own it. Show yourself. Show them. Show the world. Because the biggest power move, walking away from those who only return when their guilt becomes too heavy to carry. And we're far from done. Because next, we're exposing the biggest reason they want back in. They don't miss you. They miss the control they once had. Stay with me. 4. They want to see if they still have power over you. The greatest power you have is to say no without explaining yourself. Epictetus. Not every ex comes back because they love you. Not every return is about regret. Some people don't miss you. They miss the power they once had over you. They don't come back to rebuild, to grow, to make things right. No, my friends, they come back to test you, to see if the door is still open, to see if after everything they put you through, you're still standing there, ready to let them back in like nothing ever happened. Imagine this. A cat walks away from a house. It's confident, head held high, thinking it owns the streets, believing it can find a better place, a warmer home, a softer hand. And for a while, it enjoys the adventure. It roams freely, exploring its options, thinking it's untouchable. But then the hunger sets in. The cold night creeps up, and suddenly, that house it once left behind doesn't seem so bad. But the cat doesn't return because it's grateful, because it understands the warmth it once had. No, it returns because it wants to see if the door is still open. That's exactly what's happening here. They walked away thinking they could replace you, believing they had control. And now, after all this time, they feel the urge to check. But it's not love driving them. It's curiosity. They need to know, do they still have a grip on your emotions? Do they still have access to your life? Do you still react when they enter the room, when their name pops up on your phone, when they suddenly miss you? And here's the brutal truth. They don't actually want you back. They just want to know they still could have you if they wanted to. It's a game of ego, of possession, of control. Because the moment they realize you're no longer affected by them, that's when they start to feel real panic. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." And that's what this moment is about. They expect you to react the same way you always did, to get excited at their return, to let them slip back into your world with ease. They expect to see that flicker of hope in your eyes, that hesitation in your voice, that tiny crack in your armor that tells them, "I'm still here, waiting for you." But what happens when they return and you're different? What happens when they reach out and you don't jump? When they try to stir old emotions and they're met with silence, indifference, peace? That, my friends, is when they feel true loss. Because it's not just about missing you, it's about missing the version of you who once gave them power. And let's be honest, if they truly wanted you, they wouldn't have left in the first place. If they truly cared, they wouldn't need to test the waters. Real love doesn't play games. Real love doesn't need to see if the door is still open because it never closes it in the first place. But weak people, they need reassurance. They need to feel like they're still important, still in control, still capable of walking in and out of your life whenever they choose. And the moment you give them that validation, the moment you prove to them that they still have power over you, they win. They don't need to stay. They don't need to commit. They just need to know that no matter what, they still have a hold on your heart. But let me tell you something, my friends. You are not someone's emotional playground. You are not here to boost their ego, to heal their insecurity, to prove that they are still relevant in your life. You are here to live, to grow, to move forward without looking back. So before you even think about responding to their message, before you even consider entertaining their return, ask yourself, are they coming back for me or for the control they lost over me? Because if someone truly loved you, they wouldn't need to test your loyalty. They would have never put you in a position to question it in the first place. Epictetus once said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. And this is your moment of freedom. You are no longer the person they left behind. You are no longer waiting, wondering, wishing. You have taken back your power. And that, my friends, is something they can never control again." Drop this affirmation in the comments. I am no longer under their control. Say it, own it, show yourself, show them, show the world. Because the moment you stop proving your worth is the moment you become truly unstoppable. And we're not done yet. Because next, we're exposing the one thing they fear more than anything, being replaced. Stay with me. 5. They fear you're moving on to someone better. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. Marcus Aurelius. They thought they had all the time in the world. They thought you would wait, that no matter what, you wouldn't move on, that you would always be there, frozen in time, still holding space for them in your heart. But now they see the unthinkable. They see you smiling again. They see you glowing, thriving, stepping into a new version of yourself. And worst of all, they see the possibility that someone else might be stepping into the place they once held. And that, my friends, is when panic sets in. Imagine a child who throws away their favorite toy, convinced that it no longer holds any value. They walk away without hesitation, thinking there are better toys out there, more exciting things to play with. But then, one day, they look back, and they see another child picking up that toy, holding it, cherishing it, finding joy in something they once took for granted. And suddenly, that toy becomes the only thing they want. Not because they truly miss it, not because they appreciate it now, but because someone else does. This is exactly what's happening here. When they left, they were sure you would struggle to move on. They assumed you'd spend months, maybe even years, still longing for them, still broken by the weight of their absence. But now, they're seeing something they never expected. You're not just healing, you're becoming someone they no longer recognize. And the fear creeping into their mind isn't just about losing you. It's about losing the idea that they were irreplaceable. Seneca once said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor." And that's exactly why they're coming back. Because now, they crave what they once dismissed. Not because they've changed, not because they suddenly understand your worth, but because they see you slipping away for good. They see the posts, they hear from mutual friends, they pick up on the shift in your energy, and it drives them crazy. Their mind starts spiraling. Who is making them laugh the way I used to? Who is texting them late at night? Who is giving them what I threw away? They start replaying every moment, every conversation, every mistake. And suddenly they want you again. Not because they're ready to love you right, but because they hate the thought of someone else doing what they failed to do. And this, my friends, is where people make the biggest mistake. They confuse jealousy with love. They mistake possessiveness for devotion. But let me tell you something. If someone only wants you when they feel like they're about to lose you to someone else, that's not love. That's insecurity. Because true love isn't reactive. It isn't triggered by the fear of competition. Someone who truly values you doesn't wait until they feel threatened to step up. They don't suddenly decide you're worth fighting for only after realizing they might lose the game. But weak people, they operate on fear, not love. They chase what they think they can't have. They only want what looks unavailable. It's not about you, it's about their ego. Because if they truly loved you, they wouldn't have needed the threat of someone else to wake them up. So before you let them back in, ask yourself, are they coming back because they genuinely want to build something real with you? Or are they only here because they're scared of being replaced? Because let's be honest, if they truly wanted you, they wouldn't have needed to see you moving on to realize it. They wouldn't need to feel jealous to take you seriously. They wouldn't need to see another person stepping up to give you the love they failed to give. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." And this is the moment where you have to think clearly. Are you willing to let someone back into your life just because they don't want to lose to someone else? Because the truth is, if they only want you now, they never truly deserved you in the first place. You are not a game piece to be reclaimed. You are not a prize to be won out of desperation. You are someone who deserves to be valued from the very beginning, without conditions, without threats, without needing to prove your worth. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I am not an option. Say it. Own it. Show yourself. Show them. Show the world. And we're not done yet, because next, we're diving into the real question. Should you even take them back? Stay with me. 6. Should you take them back? The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Marcus Aurelius. And now, we arrive at the final and most important question, the one that holds the real power in your hands. They left. They made their choice. They believed they could find better, that they could move on without you, that you would always be there waiting. But now they want back in. But just because they want you back, my friends, doesn't mean they deserve to have you back. Imagine a castle, strong, guarded, built with time, patience, and effort. You welcomed them into your castle, gave them access to your world, trusted them with the keys. But instead of valuing what they had, they walked out. They left the gates wide open, thinking they could always return when it suited them. But what they never expected was that while they were gone, you rebuilt. You reinforced the walls, strengthened the foundation, made it even stronger than before. And now, as they stand outside, knocking, asking to be let back in, should you open the gates? Or should you recognize that someone who left so easily might do it again? This is where most people struggle, because when an ex comes back, emotions get in the way of logic. The memories resurface. The idea of what could be starts clouding the reality of what was. You might think, maybe they've changed. Maybe this time will be different. Maybe they really did learn their lesson. And that's where you need to pause. Step back. Ask yourself, have they truly changed? Or are they just reacting to their own emotions? Because regret is easy. Saying I miss you is easy. Feeling lonely and nostalgic is easy. But real change, that's rare. It requires deep reflection, self-awareness, and an actual effort to be better. So before you even consider letting them back in, ask yourself, did they take real accountability for how they hurt you? Not just a half-hearted, "I'm sorry if I hurt you," not just empty words that sound good in the moment. Did they actually own up to their mistakes? Did they acknowledge what they did and show through consistent actions, not just words, that they have grown? Because if all they're offering is a few sweet apologies and the classic, "I've changed, I swear," then what you're seeing isn't accountability, it's just guilt. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." A person who has truly changed won't just say they've changed. They will be different, act different, show up different. They won't have to convince you with words, you will see it through their actions. But if nothing has really changed, if the same old patterns, the same old excuses, the same old lack of accountability still linger beneath the surface, then what's stopping them from doing the exact same thing again? And here's another question. Does the idea of letting them back in bring you peace or bring you stress? Forget their words. Forget their promises. Just sit with the thought. When you imagine being with them again, do you feel safe, loved, valued? Or do you feel uneasy, uncertain, hesitant? Because your emotions will tell you everything you need to know. If there's doubt in your gut, if your heart isn't at peace, if something inside you is screaming that this isn't right, then you already have your answer. Because real love, it doesn't make you question your worth. It doesn't require you to convince someone to stay, to see your value, to finally appreciate what was in front of them all along. The right person will never put you in a position where you have to wonder if they truly care. The right person will never need to lose you to realize they should have kept you. And that's the truth, my friends. So ask yourself, are they coming back because they truly see your value now? Or are they just afraid of losing access to you? Because love isn't about missing someone when it's convenient. Love is about recognizing someone's worth in the moment, not after they've walked away, not after they've explored other options, not after they realize no one else could replace you. The best closure isn't a long conversation. It isn't a second chance. It isn't waiting for them to finally prove they've changed. The best closure is moving forward. The best revenge, living well. The best power move, not needing them anymore. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I choose my peace over their return. Say it, own it, show yourself, show them, show the world. Because the greatest decision you will ever make is to protect your peace, to walk away with dignity, and to recognize that you were never the one who lost. They were. And with that, my friends, this conversation isn't just ending, it's a new beginning. Because the power, it was always yours. 7. The power is yours. A man's worth is no greater than his ambitions. Marcus Aurelius. And now, my friends, we come to the part that truly matters. The part where you stop looking back and start looking forward. The part where you realize that the power was never in their return. It was in your ability to decide whether they deserve a place in your life again. They thought they had control. They thought you would always be an option, always waiting, always hoping they would come back. But what they never expected was that while they were gone, you grew, you evolved, you became stronger than the version of you they left behind. And now, when they reach out, when they test the waters, when they try to slip back into your world like nothing happened, the power isn't in their hands anymore. It's in yours. Imagine you're standing at a train station. They were once a passenger on your journey, someone you cared for, someone you thought would be with you for the long haul. But at some point, they chose to get off the train. Maybe they thought they had a better destination in mind. Maybe they didn't realize how far you were going. Maybe they just didn't appreciate the ride. And so, they stepped off without hesitation, believing that they could always catch the next one if they ever wanted to come back. But what they didn't realize was that this train, it doesn't run on their schedule. Time passed. The train moved forward. And now, as they stand on the platform watching you speed away, they finally understand what they lost. Not because they suddenly love you, not because they've magically transformed into the person you always needed them to be, but because they no longer have a ticket to ride. And this is where you have a choice. You can stop the train. You can let them back on. You can give them another seat, hoping that maybe, just maybe, this time they'll appreciate the journey. Or you can realize that some people were never meant to reach your destination, that some people were only part of one chapter, not the whole story. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is that moment, the moment where you take back your power, the moment where you stop looking for closure from them and start finding it within yourself. Because let's be real, my friends, if they had truly seen your worth, you wouldn't be standing here right now, questioning whether or not they deserve another chance. You wouldn't need to weigh the options, replay the memories, wonder if they've really changed. Because someone who is meant to be in your life doesn't put you in a position to question your worth in the first place. And here's the hardest truth to accept. Letting go isn't a loss. It's a win. It's proof that you value yourself enough to walk away from people who don't value you. It's proof that you've outgrown the need for validation from someone who had to lose you to appreciate you. It's proof that your peace is more important than their regret. Because at the end of the day, their feelings are not your responsibility. Their guilt is not your burden. Their longing for the past is not your problem to solve. And let me tell you something. When you finally let go, when you finally close that door and walk away without looking back, that's when you become untouchable. Because nothing is more powerful than a person who has healed, who has grown, who has realized that they don't need closure, explanations, or apologies to move forward. So ask yourself, do you really want them back? Or do you just want to prove that you were always worthy? Because the truth is, you don't need them to see your worth for it to exist. You don't need them to validate what you already know deep inside. You were enough all along. So drop this affirmation in the comments. I choose myself. Say it, own it, show yourself, show them, show the world, because the greatest power you will ever hold is the power to choose you. And this is just the beginning, because the moment you stop chasing people who left is the moment you start attracting everything that was always meant for you. Stay strong, stay empowered, and remember, the power was always yours.